Hey YouTube, Dan here. Wheels and Gears Adventures. Let's talk about this headlight. The most terrible headlight you can ride with at night. So we have set up here is a tape line. Lower tape line and upper tape line here. Shut the light off here. And the reason I did this is because right now it's on the bike stand and I'm not going to move it. It's going to stay right there while I do all the work. So there's on low beam at the bottom of the first tape mark. And there's on high beam on the bottom of the second tape mark. So now I know when I do my kit here where to kind of start with. And the kit you probably want to know is I'm doing a Baja design kit, but their kit is unfriggin' believable for anyone with, like, you know, average money, and they want $463 not shipped to Canada and 4 to 6 wait time for this. So I've come up with a plan of a DIY one. So I had a buddy, me and him brainstorm last weekend. We've come up with this bracket here. I went white because I'm going to end up doing some gold down the center of it. You can go black, whatever color you want. He will have the 3D print available for people. So if you look at it, it's got the slide for your top of your headlight and everything, so you can adjust it. The Baja kit, when you mount their headlights, they have this facing downwards. So I went this way straight because it just makes it easier. And it seems to be pretty good. It's printed out of PETG, so it's pretty flexible, but it's still stiff. It's not going to break at all, zero. Went with a set of Northern Ridge from Princess Auto, and I decided I wanted to tint the one. So I tinted the high beam with this fancy Amazon tint. Worked out pretty good. It's not bad there. Let's just throw the light on so we can see better here. So I decided to go this route because, first off, cost. These lights, I got them on sale, it was 26 bucks, I think. Regular 40. Very good lights, actually. They're not bad. And I wanted to get this tinted because of, obviously, the Baja kit design has the one tinted yellow for the fog, so I did that. Then I had to find out what kind of lumens I was working with. So these ones here, these ones here are pretty good. So the spread's really nice on them, and I went with the flood instead of the spot, obviously. And so the biggest thing is you don't want any overheating. Obviously, you know, LEDs don't overheat, but the way I'm doing it is a little bit differently. So on the Baja kit, they give you this harness that you buy, okay? And this harness is basically for your high and low. If anyone knows, on the DRZ 400s, on stock, you have one bulb with 2 lights in it, and you have a low and a high. Low and high. On the wiring harness underneath there, if I was just to wire these 2 direct up to it, well, then you're going to find my high and low work it separate. So if I'm cruising in low and I want to switch to high, my low is going to stay off, my high will come on. Well, I want to run the same way as the Baja kit. They run their harness that they make, which is no cutting, which is great, no splicing, it just plugs into your factory wire. So I had to figure out how they did that, and I'm almost certain that there's only 2 ways of really doing it, like properly, would be run a small relay or a diode. So I went and personally picked up a 6 amp diode on for this kit that I'm going to build for the harness. And that will allow me to plug and play. So, where are we? So these are going to be some of the connectors I'm going to be using for this harness. And then this is the plug I'm going to be running. And it's a H4 male connector. And this is what you want for the DRZ 400. The only thing you need to know when you go and do this, if you want to do this, okay, is your blue on a DRZ on the factory wiring harness is white, and that will be your low beam. So there's your low beam on the top. The red on this harness, on this little plug, would be your high beam, which is double yellow on a DRZ. And then obviously your ground. But then I have to make this a little bit more different, because I want to be able to put a dimmable switch on my low beam. Figure out how I'm going to do it with the diode and everything. And the diode obviously I'm using is a 6 amp diode, because I'm still well underneath my, what these will pull. These will pull 4 amps together on continuous use. So as long as I had a 6 amp diode, I'm fine to run on both these for switching back and forth to high and low. So that's just the little stuff you just got to look for. Can't just slap it together and hope that nothing's going to overheat. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Just make sure you check everything, which is not hard to do to build this harness and everything. But I'll be right back. I'm going to get things set up, and I am going to do the harness quick here. And okay, I'm back. This is my completed little small harness. So there's my plug-in that plugs into my factory wiring harness. So there's no cutting or splicing. I marked high beam, low beam. My 6 amp diode that is flowing that way, so it allows my power to come in for my low beam, which will essentially just turn on my low beam. I want my high beam on. The high beam comes in, comes through the high beam, and then the diode allows one-way flow through your low beam, essentially turning on your low beam. So that works out really well. And make sure you at least run it, I would say at least a 6 amp, depending on your light system, what you're running. So just make sure you know your light system and your amperage and your draw, then you'll be fine. And the good thing about this, how I've done this, with this, which is the dimmable switch, and there's a little cap, it's kind of like a heat sink, goes on the top. This, if you look at it, moves here like this, and then you can actually shut it off completely, like that. So that's kind of nice if you ever wanted to. This works well. If I have my low beam on my bike, I can actually take the switch and click, shut it off. Means I got no headlights, no nothing. No headlights will be on. I can cruise at night or whatever, you know, you never know. I'm not saying to do that, but the option's there. So what else I can do is I can turn it on, put my low beam on, obviously, adjust it to wherever I want, throw my high beam on, and if I decide, well, I just want to run with the one high beam here, the yellow at night or whatever, I can literally shut the low beam off by the dimmer switch. So there's a couple of options you can do it on it. So now I'm going to make up the harness here. I'm going to cut this back, these lights, because they're a bit long. I don't want all this wire here. So I'm going to cut it back. I'm going to solder all new connectors on. So I just did this as a test here. So I'm going to solder the wires up and everything. And then I'll solder in the dimmable switch on this one. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff here. Put it all back, and I'll be right back with this all completed, ready to go in here. So I'm back here, kind of got this set up. If anyone does any soldering, or a lot, I suggest you get these, like, kind of help a hand. These things are amazing. Like, they just hold the wire in perfect. I always use like a nitro flux or some kind of flux. So basically it just helps it adhere better, warms it up better. I like to solder fast and hot. So pretty much just put a little flux on there. A little flux on there. This Milwaukee soldering gun is amazing. So I also like using the heat gun a lot better than I like using a lighter. Because I find using a lighter, it always leaves the black marks and it doesn't heat it properly. That's just my intake on it, but I mean, you do what you want to do. If you don't got one, use a lighter, use a blowtorch, use whatever kind of thing you have there. So there's the first one done. We'll go to the next one. Oh, there. And that is ready to go. One soldered, completely shrink wrapped, waterproof. High beam is done. Now we work on the low beam. Okay, so I'm back here. Harness is all done, all connected. So here is my plug, diode, connectors, dimmer switch, low and high beam. Got the lights all mounted, so they go there, goes back out, Allen key head, kind of good. Got the bicolor part here, wiring harness in, so I'll get this all mounted up here and I'll be right back once it's all mounted in here and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so got it all mounted up. I had to clean up the edging here just so the faceplate mounts. Just made this quick little here. That's for my dimmer switch. Turned out really well actually. And now I will put the plate on and we'll do some testing. Got it all done here. All installed. Looks pretty good. Put my dimmer switch right here so you can kind of see this just dims it in and out, nice and clean. You can barely even notice it's back there. So we will turn her on. My little friend, bedtime soon. So this is low beam with the dimmer on. I'll turn it up. That's full with the dimmer on. That's full low beam with the dimmer on, I should say. This is high beam, which is absolutely crazy bright here. And then what else I can do here is I can actually shut high beam off, come down to my dimmer switch that is here, bring her down, okay, so I can bring her down to about there, wherever, if I want to, and shut it off completely, cruise at night, or whatever, if that's what you're into. And then high beam, I can have just the high beam on, and turn the dimmer back on here, you hear it? High beam off. So I'll bring her down. That's all the way up. And we'll just kind of bring her to there. Now I'm going to lift my door and see what it is like outside. Right now we just had a snowstorm. So let's see how bright it is all the way up my driveway. And that's completely dark outside. Let's just turn up the dimmer a little bit. And let's throw high beam on that. That is like a spotlight. That is wild. Like, absolutely wild. Really like that. I'll shut this off here, and then throw the dimmer down. I can't piss too many people off like that. And it curves around. And the ignition off. It's pretty dark out, so let's shut this door off here. But that is wild. Let's do it one more time here. Switch the low dimmer on. Boom. Crazy.